So, you've been learning how AI actually works. You understand it's pattern completion, not magic. You know about context windows and hallucinations. You get why AI is good at some things and terrible at others. But when you sit down to actually use it, your results still disappoint. Here's the thing. Understanding how AI works is only half the battle. The other half is knowing how to communicate with it effectively. And that's where most people fall apart. Today, we're covering the 5 most common prompt mistakes that turn potentially great AI outputs into generic garbage. More importantly, I'll show you exactly how to fix each one. Think about this for a second. You've watched these videos. You understand the theory. You know AI is completing patterns based on statistical relationships in its training data. But then you ask AI to help with something, and what you get back is underwhelming, generic, not quite what you needed, maybe even completely off base. Your first instinct might be AI isn't ready for this, or this tool doesn't work for my use case. But here's the reality. The problem isn't the AI. The issue is how you're communicating with it. There's a gap between understanding what AI is and knowing how to prompt it effectively. Here's what makes this frustrating. Everyone has access to the same powerful AI tools. ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, they're all available to anyone with an internet connection. Yet some people get exceptional results while others get mediocre outputs from the exact same models. The difference isn't the AI, it's the prompts. How you ask determines what you get. And the gap between a bad prompt and a good prompt isn't massive effort. It's usually just a few key changes that make all the difference. Master these fundamentals and you'll transform your results. Let's dig into where these things go wrong. Mistake number one, being too vague. Help me with marketing. Write something professional. Make this better. These are real prompts people try every day. And they seem reasonable, right? You're asking for help with a clear general task. But from AI's perspective, these prompts are essentially useless. They're too broad to activate any specific patterns in the training data. Remember back in video one, AI completes patterns. That's all it does. When you give it vague input like, help me with marketing, you're not pointing it toward any particular pattern. Think about how much content exists in AI's training data about marketing. Millions of examples: social media marketing, email marketing, content marketing, B2B, B2C, enterprise, small business. The list goes on forever. With no specificity in your prompt, AI activates a scattered mess of weak patterns across all that data. It can't focus on what you actually need because you haven't told it what you need. The result? You get the average of everything. Generic advice that could apply to anyone, which means it's useful to no one. It's the lowest common denominator response because you gave it the lowest common denominator prompt. Here's the fix. Be specific. Look at the difference between help me with marketing and write a 3 sentence LinkedIn post announcing our new feature for accountants who hate data entry. The second prompt gives AI everything it needs to activate strong, relevant patterns. It knows the platform, LinkedIn, which has specific conventions. It knows the length, 3 sentences, which creates natural constraints. It knows the audience, accountants who hate data entry, which tells it what pain point to address. And it knows the purpose, announcing a new feature. All that specificity focuses the AI's pattern completion on exactly the right subset of its training data. Instead of activating weak patterns across millions of marketing examples, it zeroes in on LinkedIn announcements for specific professional audiences with clear pain points. Same AI, completely different output quality. The only change was specificity. Mistake number two, missing context. Summarize this report. What should I do? Is this good? People ask questions like these all the time, assuming AI will somehow understand what they need. But AI can't read your mind. When you don't provide context, AI has to fill the gaps. And remember from video 3, when AI fills gaps, it makes things up based on patterns. That's when hallucinations happen. Think about, is this good? Good for what? Good for whom? Good by what standard? Without that context, AI makes assumptions. Maybe it assumes you want professional feedback when you need casual. Maybe it evaluates for clarity when you cared about persuasiveness. Maybe it judges by corporate standards when you're writing for a creative audience. Those assumptions come from patterns in its training data, not from understanding your actual situation. So the response you get might sound confident and helpful, but it's answering a question you didn't actually ask. The fix? Provide context up front. Instead of, is this email good? Try, is this email good for a first time customer who's been waiting 3 days for a refund? Tone should be apologetic but professional. Now AI knows who the audience is, a frustrated first time customer. It knows the situation. They've been waiting, they're owed money. It knows the goal, apologetic but still professional. That context eliminates guesswork. AI doesn't have to assume anything because you've given it the background information it needs to evaluate your email against the right criteria. Context is how you align AI's response with your actual needs instead of with patterns from random training examples. Mistake number 3, asking AI to do precision work. Calculate the exact ROI, count these items. What's the precise date? This one catches people off guard because AI seems so capable. Surely it can add some numbers, right? Wrong tool for the job. Remember from video 4, AI excels at pattern-based work and fails at precision tasks. When you ask AI to calculate something, it doesn't actually calculate. It doesn't have a calculator built in. Instead, it predicts what a calculation might look like based on patterns it's seen. Sometimes it gets lucky and the pattern matches reality, but just as often, it's slightly off or completely wrong because it's estimating based on patterns, not computing based on logic. Think of it this way. If you needed to build a piece of furniture, you wouldn't use a hammer for everything. Hammer for nails, screwdriver for screws, drill for holes. Different tools for different jobs. It's the same principle with AI. It's the right tool for pattern work, writing, categorizing, brainstorming. It's the wrong tool for precision, calculating, counting, verifying exact facts. The fix for this? Match the tool to the task. Instead of asking AI, add up these 47 line items, which asks it to be a calculator, ask it to help me organize these expenses into categories so I can total them in Excel. Now you're using AI for what it's good at, recognizing patterns and categorizing information. The pattern work figuring out which expenses go where, that's AI's strength. The precision work, actually adding up the numbers, you handle that with a tool designed for precision, a calculator, a spreadsheet, something that computes rather than estimates. This is about strategic tool selection. Use AI for the parts of your workflow where pattern completion adds value. Use other tools for the parts where precision matters. All right, mistake number 4, treating the first response as the final answer. This is probably the most common mistake I see. Someone types a prompt, gets a response, looks at it, and thinks, this isn't what I wanted. AI doesn't work for me. Then they either use the mediocre result anyway, or they give up entirely. Here's the problem with that. You're treating AI like a search engine. Type query, get answer, done. But AI isn't a search engine. It's a pattern completion tool that works best through iteration. Think about any creative work you do. When you write something, is your first draft your best work? When you design something, is your first sketch the final version? Of course not. The first version gets ideas on paper. Then you refine, you adjust, you improve. AI works the same way. The first response shows you what's possible. It gives you a starting point, but it's rarely the finished product. That initial output is valuable. It's much faster than starting from a blank page. But the real quality comes from refinement. Draft 1 establishes direction. Draft 2 adds detail. Draft 3 polishes it to meet your actual needs. Most people never get to Draft 2. They judge AI's capabilities based entirely on Draft 1, which is like judging a sculptor's skill by looking at the rough clay form before any detail work. The fix? Iterate. Here's the pattern. Start with a specific context-rich prompt. That gets you a solid first draft. Then refine it. Make it more casual, or make it shorter, or focus more on the cost savings. Then enhance it. Add a specific example, or include a call to action at the end. Each iteration improves quality because you're giving AI more information about what you actually want. You're guiding it toward your vision through conversation rather than expecting it to nail your vision on the first try. This is the difference between people who say AI doesn't work and people who get exceptional results. The second group treats AI like a collaborative tool that gets better with feedback, not a one-shot answer machine. Mistake number 5, not specifying your format. Write about our return policy. Explain this concept. When you don't specify structure, AI picks a random format from its training data. Sometimes you get paragraphs when you need bullet points. Sometimes you get a list when you need a narrative prose. That format mismatch means you have to rewrite the whole thing, which defeats the purpose of using AI in the first place. Format is control. When you specify structure, you're telling AI exactly how to organize its response. Just like being specific helps AI focus on relevant patterns, specifying format helps it organize information effectively. Think of format as a container. Without a defined container, AI pours information into whatever shape seems closest to patterns it's seen. With a defined container, it shapes the information to fit your exact needs. This matters because you know how you need to use this information. If you're putting it on a mobile screen, you need short, scannable bullet points. If you're including it in a report, you might need detailed paragraphs with smooth transitions. If you're using it as talking points, you need a numbered list. You know this. AI doesn't, unless you tell it. The fix? Specify format upfront. Compare explain our return policies with explain our return policy in 3 bullet points, each under 20 words for customers reading on mobile. The second version tells AI exactly how to structure the response. 3 bullet points, so it knows to organize into 3 key ideas, under 20 words each, so it keeps things concise, for customers reading on mobile, so it understands the context for why brevity matters. You get exactly what you need, formatted exactly how you need it, ready to use. All right, let's synthesize. 5 fixes that will transform your AI results. 1. Be specific. Don't give AI vague direction like help me with marketing. Give it clear, detailed instructions that activate the right patterns. 2. Provide context. Don't assume AI knows your situation. Explain the audience, the goal, the constraints, anything that helps align its response with your actual needs. 3. Match the tool to the task. AI does patterns, not precision. Use it for pattern work. Use other tools for calculation and verification. 4. Iterate. Don't stop at the first response. Refine and enhance through conversation until you get exactly what you need. And 5. Specify your format. Control the output structure up front so you get usable results the first time. These aren't complicated techniques. They're just intentional communication, but they make the difference between disappointing AI outputs and exceptional ones. Here's the key insight. These mistakes are fixable. You don't need different AI tools. You don't need access to better models. You just need to adjust how you communicate with the tools you already have. Small prompt changes create massive result improvements. That's the practical application of everything we've covered in this series. You understand how AI works. Now you know how to work with it. And if you found this helpful, subscribe for more videos in the Making AI Make Sense series. We're building a complete understanding of AI from the ground up. Concepts before tools, fundamentals before tactics. And if you need help implementing AI in your business, if you're ready to move from understanding to application, let's talk. Visit eauclaireai.com. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.